Welcome back to the second video of my USA series. If you spot an animal, this could be an interesting task this week. Please comment below, because I'm not actually sure if there is one. Today I'm doing something that has been on my bucket list for a very long time. I am visiting NASA. We're at the Space Center in Houston, the official visitor center for NASA's Johnson Space Center. I seriously cannot believe I am here. I am so excited. Today we're going to explore real spacecraft, learn about the Apollo missions, see where astronauts train, and hopefully get as close to the moon as I'm ever going to get, without having to leave Earth. So, the big question is, did I really touch the moon? Stay tuned. Walking through the doors is a pretty impressive sight. You immediately realize just how much there is to see here. At the Space Center, it isn't just about looking at models and reading displays. There are real pieces of space history here. NASA's Johnson Space Center has played a huge role in American human spaceflight program, and Houston is famous for being home to Mission Control. You actually get to see Mission Control, which is really cool. Check it out. And yes, this is where the famous phrase, "Houston, we have a problem," comes from. The best parts about visiting Space Center Houston is getting a look into the actual Johnson Space Center. This isn't just a museum. NASA still operates here. Johnson Space Center has been involved with astronaut training, human space flight, and mission control for decades. So while we're walking around looking at the history of space exploration, NASA is continuing to work on its future. So you can actually tour around the grounds of NASA, but you can only do it via a guided tour, and you get to ride in a fancy little buggy-like thing. You cannot walk around freely. It is a working space center, and there are lots of top secret things happening behind closed doors. Throughout the Space Center, there are spacecraft, exhibits and artifacts covering decades of human space exploration. It's amazing to see how space technology has changed. Some of the early spacecraft look absolutely tiny. Imagine traveling through space inside a really tiny aircraft. No thanks. Although, if NASA offered me a seat tomorrow, I probably wouldn't say no. This is the International Space Training Area inside NASA's Johnson Space Center Special Vehicle Mock-up Facility. The large modules are full-size replicas, including areas such as the Destiny Laboratory and Quest Airlock. Astronauts train inside them before traveling to the International Space Station. They practice moving through the stations, operating equipment, completing experiments, and responding to emergencies. Thought this was pretty cool. You can see all this on your tour throughout the training facility. It's pretty fascinating to see. I would love to give it a go. Shame we can't have a hands-on experience. Another fascinating part is seeing how astronauts prepare for space. Going to space isn't simply a matter of climbing into a rocket and blasting off. Astronauts spend years training. They need to know how to operate spacecraft, deal with emergencies, live in microgravity, and complete incredibly complicated missions. Seeing some of the training facilities really puts into perspective just how much work goes into becoming an astronaut. A fun fact that the tour guide said is that the children amongst us, one of those children is more than likely going to go to space in their future. How cool is this? They're testing out the astronaut suits on this robot thing, which is the same. So the robot is designed to be the same height and weight and body mass build as the average person or average astronaut that is sent into space. Thought that was pretty cool.
She stopped again. Oops, that's not her. Right? Yeah, she's moving now.
So the big question is, did I really touch the moon? I sure did. Okay, this has to be one of the coolest things here. You can touch a piece of the moon. This is an actual lunar rock brought back to Earth by astronauts. Think about that for a second. This rock was sitting on the moon before humans ever went there. It travelled hundreds of thousands of kilometres back to Earth, and I'm touching it in Houston. So technically, yes, I touched the moon. The whole NASA complex is huge. It's like its own mini city. The grounds are amazing and vast, with the local deer roaming around like they own the place. Cheap lawn mowing, I suppose. It surely is a massive place to visit. Check out some of these space rockets. How cool is that? Imagine going in one of these and exploring the world beyond Earth. That would be pretty cool. And then there is this, the Saturn V. You really don't appreciate how enormous these rockets were, or are, until you are standing beside one. Saturn V was a rocket that was used to send Apollo astronauts towards the moon. It stood around 111 metres tall when fully assembled. That is basically a skyscraper. So there was no way I could get the whole rocket in one photo. Standing next to it gives you a completely different appreciation for what the astronauts were strapped to when they launched into space. I don't know if I'd be brave enough. Would you go into space if you were given the opportunity? Would you travel in this Saturn rocket? Comment below. 13 Saturn V rockets were launched between 1967 and 1973. It launched Apollo 11, carrying Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins to the moon. Saturn V also launched Skylab, America's first space station. Despite its enormous complexity, no Saturn V failed during a crewed mission. The rocket has had 3 stages, which separated one after another as it climbed into space. Pretty incredible for the technology at the time. Amazing. I wonder what they could design these days. One of the things I was most excited to learn about was the Apollo program. In 1969, Apollo 11 carried Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins to the moon. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first humans to walk on the lunar surface, while Michael Collins remained in orbit aboard the command module. Just imagine watching that at the time. Humans had actually left Earth and were walking on another world. How amazing. One thing I really love about visiting somewhere like this is that it makes you think about how small we really are. We spend our lives travelling around countries, exploring different places, but astronauts have had the opportunity to look back and see the entire Earth between them. No borders, no cities, just one little planet floating in space. It's pretty incredible when you think about it. I can't even begin to imagine what that would feel like being up in space looking down at Earth. Pretty incredible. Okay, the big question is, what happens if you need to go to the toilet in space? Well, here you go guys, the space potty. What an incredible experience. I've seen rockets, I've learned about astronauts, I've explored some of the history behind the moon landings, I visited the home of Mission Control and most importantly, I touched the moon. If you're ever visiting Houston, come see the Space Center. It's definitely worth a visit. And you even get to see the Mars rovers in action. This was pretty cool. Don't forget to stop at the gift shop on your way out. There's some pretty cool things. And yes, if you spotted the animal, please comment below. And of course, I have a fun fact. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more adventures, as the next video is all about New Orleans. And I've got a question for you. If NASA offered you a free trip into space tomorrow, would you go?